Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Fresh from the Trollbox, the BitMEX Trader podcast, together with our CEO, Stephan Lutz. My name is Uzi, and let's dive right into it. Hey, Stephan, how are you doing?
Hey Uzi, I'm fine, thank you. Actually, an amazing week again. I'm pretty tired, so looking forward to the weekend.
Nice. Yeah, what was the market like this week? Do you want to run us through? Obviously, yeah, exciting little peak with Bitcoin. How did you live through this?
Uh, Pretty well for me. I was lucky. I traded all the way up, and then I even got the downturn right. So I got up once, down twice. So I accumulated Bitcoin, as I said earlier. Right, I love this to trade with Bitcoin margin futures and perps because I can accumulate Bitcoin. In the end, it will appreciate anyway. So really enjoyed this. Actually, for me, the market showed impressive relative performance on both Bitcoin and Ethereum in the last week, especially against USD and gold, which is interesting for me. So really, this narrative, it holds for Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance still high, although we see alts, so altcoins being back in the game, so to say, especially, which is not particular in altcoin, but if you see like the next one, like Sol or Near, they perform outrageously well. So a lot of trading opportunities there. So you could go for Bitcoin, Ethereum on the mains. You could go for Solana, Near, for other ones, right? I mean, we listed more and more futures even for altcoins. I mean, it really starts to feel like crypto winter might not be over yet, but it's a little bit for me like after New Year's Eve. We know it will end soon. So position yourself really good, right? And what I found most interesting on the global perspective is if you look at the market cap around Tether, it rose quite significantly, which means fresh money for the market, which is the best sign for me and the best signal of this week.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Do you have any best guess on where that tether is going to find its way into, or do you reckon it'll go into Bitcoin for the time being, kind of strengthening dominance? What's your perspective?
I think short term it will strengthen Bitcoin dominance because for me, I mean, one has to look into it. I haven't done that yet. But where does it come from? I would expect it is quite a significant amount, even from TradFis that build up positions to then go into Bitcoin for the spot ETFs, right? And people who have stayed silent in the market and now want to go into it and not being left out for the next, I mean, bull run in terms of volumes, but as well in terms of price. I mean, you see people saying basically 35,000 is just 1 point on the way up. So maybe a little bit down again, then up to 45, then 60 and 125, seemingly being the consensus estimate for, let's say, until mid of next year. Let's see. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, let's keep fingers crossed. I guess in terms of you mentioned the macro perspective, right? And so we see a bit of a dominance towards Bitcoin. You mentioned we've outperformed gold by an astonishing 93, 95% Bitcoin versus gold. So tremendous. Looking also at Arthur's recent article about how sort of this could be driven by inflation due to international conflicts. Are we going? Are we seeing TradFi going into the digital gold finally? Is that really the story, or?
I would say it's not like on a broad level, but if you look at the new market cap for the inflows for Tether in particular, for other stables as well, it really seems to be the case that they try to build up at least partial positions there. And if Bitcoin, what we saw, outperforms gold quite significantly, this is a strong message in itself, right? Because usually gold is the asset you go to in such crisis scenarios. So there really seems to be a market systemic shift there.
Okay. System and systemic is a good lead way into our what's hot on Twitter. Obviously, the system has strike back, guilty on 7 charges. Any comment from your side on the Sam Bankman-Fried news?
I mean, yeah, that was all over the place. I guess it was, I mean, for me, I expected that. I didn't expect any other outcome. But what I found interesting is not remembering what went on will bring him probably more than 100 years of jail, which means turning it around, work on your mental and brain health, because if you remember things, you might get less than 100 years.
Yeah, excellent. And then I guess looking into the next week, Stefan, what are you looking out for? Anything particularly interesting, or let's
Just
wait and see?
think personally, no advice on my own positions. I hope that we will have a little bit more on Bitcoin, so I'm pretty long.
Yeah, stabilizing 35, maybe returning back and trying to test the 40.
Yes,
Excellent.
be great.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Have a lovely weekend and see you next week.
See you.